The first thing that I will do to get you started on your views journey is to create a content type. I'm not going to do anything fancy with a content type. I'll just give it a name and save it. I won't change any of the other default settings or add any fields to it. To make things easy for me to demonstrate, I'm also going to let the devel module generate 50 of these pieces of content. First, I'll enable the devel generate module. Then, I'll generate the pieces of content. Nothing like the smell of freshly created content on a Drupal site. Now that I've got some content on the site to work with, it's time to dive into views. Once I click the link to Add New View, I will give the view project a name. So it's probably good for me to take a short break right now to explain what I mean by a view project. When I create views on a site, I like to group them into projects. Each project can contain many different displays. This will become clearer to you as you progress through this course. The next thing I will do is take advantage of the content type I created. I'm going to instruct views to select only the views example pieces of content in this project. I'll let the views wizard take over from here, telling it to create a page and a block for me. See how easy that was? I've now got my first views project created on this site. Now I'll show you what the wizard has created for me. The first thing I see is the paged view of teasers. I can navigate one page at a time, jump to a specific page, jump back to the first page, or jump to the last page. The title of each teaser is linked to the full node view of the piece of content. Now it's time for me to see what the block looks like. As I scroll down the block administration page, I find the Views Quick Start block in the Disabled section. I'll configure the block and place it in the sidebar first region of my Bartik theme. When I return to the home page, I see the block. The block contains the titles of the pieces of content, and the titles are linked to the full node view. Now I'll give you a quick explanation of how the wizard created the page and the block for me. I'll navigate back to the Views project by clicking the Structure menu item and then clicking the Views link. Now, instead of adding a new view, I will edit the Views Quick Start project. Note that the page display is selected. I can see that the page is showing the teaser view of the piece of content. It's selecting Published Views Example pieces of content and sorting them by post date in descending order. I can see a preview of the display right inside of the Views project. The wizard assigned the Views-Quick-Start path name. It used a full pager that shows 10 items per page. Now I'll look at how the block display was defined. Unlike the page display, the block display shows individual fields. The only field selected is the title. It is using the same filter and sort criteria. It does not use a pager and shows only 5 items. I want to change some things from the way that the wizard created them. I want to change the page title. Pay attention that I have opted to change the title for just the page display. Next, I'll change the title of just the block display. I also want to give a better administrative name. Remember that when I searched for the block in the block administration interface, the title that was there was not very helpful. I know that the block is showing the 5 most recently added views examples pieces of content, so I will change the title to reflect that. Here is what the administration title looks like inside of the block administrative interface now. Notice that the block display title is separate from the administrative title, and it reflects the change I made as well. And here is the new title showing in the paged listing. I want to make some more changes to the View project. Instead of navigating through the structure menu, I can use the contextual link that appears when I hover over the paged listing. I am taken in to edit the page display. Let's say that I don't want to sort by the posted date. I'll remove it just from the page display. Instead, I'll sort by the title. When I save my changes, I'm taken directly back to the paged listing. I can see that the content is now sorted by the title. Now I'll change how the block is defined by using the contextual link that appears when I hover over the block. Pay attention that I want to select to edit the view and not configure the block. I'll choose to display all of the pieces of content by entering 0 for the number of items to show. Since I've got so many views example pieces of content, the block becomes quite long. Let me try something else. I'll use a mini pager and display 5 items per page. Since I chose the mini pager, I have only the next and previous options. You can see that paging through the items in the block causes the page to be recreated. To make it a bit clearer how the More link works, I am going to set the front page of the site to display the first node that was created. Now I will go back into the block configuration and indicate that I want the More link to show. Note that before I click the More link, I am viewing Node 1. Once I click the More link, I am taken to the Views-Quick Start paged listing. There is only the one page display in the project, so that is the only destination for the More link. I'll create another page display now. It's easy to do this by cloning the existing page display. To make it easy to distinguish between the 2 page display types, I will give my second one a new display name. I also need to give it a new path name. Now I can change the settings in the block display to indicate that the More link should display the new page I've just created. I'll make that page look a little different than the first page display by displaying just 5 items per page instead of 10. Now that I've finished this first example, I'll recap the things I've shown you. First, I let the wizard create a page and a block. I inspected the Views project by navigating through the menu system and gave a quick explanation of how the wizard had configured things. I changed a few things and showed you those changes. I returned to edit the View project by using a contextual link and made a few more changes. I finished up by adding a new page display to the project and telling the block to show that page when I click the More link. You've already gotten a chance to see quite a bit about how Views works. You're well beyond a Views noob now. See you in the next lecture.